Hey, how you doing? Chris McClune here with the FDIC Product Network. This segment is brought to you today by Dräger and FDIC International and Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being patient as we had to reschedule earlier just for some issues that we have. We wanted to make sure that we brought you we wanted to make sure we connected you and brought you as much time as possible to talk about the product that we'll be highlighting now, which actually is the Dräger PSS 7000 SCBA. Hopefully, via FDIC International and fireapparatus.com, you've seen this out there. But now today we're going to kind of dive a little deeper into it. Paul Tarter is here. He's the product manager for Dräger, and he will be guiding us through the PSS 7000 today. So without any further ado, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you, and there will be time for Q&A at the end. Always, I disclaim that if we cannot get to all the questions, we will make sure that we get them to Dräger or Paul to make sure that we can get you answers. Another way to get answers is to schedule a one-on-one meeting with a Dräger representative after the live demo is over. So, Paul, I'm sorry, I promised that I would throw it over to you, and now I started talking again. So now, for sure, here you go.
Chris, that's perfectly well. Hey, thanks again for letting us come out and present. Sorry about the technical issues earlier. My IT department thought it was the perfect time to do my 365 upgrade. So surprise. Anyway, but we overcame, we got it rescheduled, and we're here. So again, great to be here. I would like to talk about the PSS 7000, Sentinel 7000, and that's our SCBA, our 2018 edition, 2019 edition. I heard y'all talking about that earlier, SCBA offering, and this is what's sitting right here behind me. So it looks very similar to our legacy products, our other PSS 7000, Sentinel 7000. It is very, very similar, but there's a lot of subtle differences. So we really increased a lot of different things. We had the most significant changes for us were becoming compliant with 2018. And for us, that was actually the two connections for our LDV, or our regulator, if you will. If you remember previously, for those who are familiar with Dräger, we had a button on the mask itself that would actually be the release for the regulator. The new standard says we can't have that. We have to have two independent releases. So that is, for us, huge change for us, but we really, really like it. It's given the customer experience much more comfort with it. It's much more familiar to them for the two-button release here, and it's very, very strong. So this has to withstand a 56.2-pound pull force in 5 different directions, if you will. So it has to stay connected even if one button gets hit and gets released. So even with one button, it has to stay connected with those 56.2 pounds of force. So it's great. We really, really are looking forward to it. So it was a huge thing for us for 2018. The other thing for us for 2018, it was a huge boost for us, was the UEBSS, the buddy breathing system. So this is the connection, that rectus connection that has been talked about previously, that every manufacturer has to use. This is the connection that we've been using for almost 20 years. So in essence, we think that the committee kind of picked the connection that Dräger's been using. It's not a Dräger specific connection. It's just the one that we went out and did our research and found out that was the best one we thought for breathing air. The technical committee agreed with that and made it the standard for SCBA manufacturers moving forward. So for UEBSS was a great thing for us. A couple other little things that we did. We really didn't have to change anything for us as far as for our data logging, for our not buddy breathing, but data logging for the Sentinel device, for the past devices. We already were compliant there, so we were good to go. If you're not familiar with the Dräger SCBAs, the PSS 7000 and 5000, we're going to showcase the 7000 today. It's a different kind of a feel. We have a different approach to it. So our approach to the SCBA is that it should be comfortable. And what we try to tell people is, imagine that you're going out backpacking and you're going to buy a high-end backpack. You're going to go to one of the big major national brand or retailers, you're going to buy one. Well, when you go there, what you're looking for is something that's going to be comfortable under with heavy loads. And if you look at those are designed for the weight to be on the hip or the pelvis area, so down on the waist. We want to carry our weight low, which is the most ergonomic way to do it. With the PSS 7000, that's where this is. All of the weight is on these very broad, wide waist pads. And what we do differently with this, as you can start to see now with some of the other products on the market, is that this wraps around the lower pad area on the waist, and that's where we said that everything should be tight and snug on the hips, where all the weight is. Now, what we do on this is that we've seen some things already where it has a high degree of articulation left and right. We do front and back, but on this one, what happens is that this one also slides up and down. So as your body moves, we don't have a very linear, so we move left and right high degree angle, we move front and back, but as we move up, we raise our arms. With a fixed back frame like that, we don't get any movement, there's no play in it. With this lumbar pad and this assembly right here, it's very, very forgiving. If you properly wear this, you actually don't even have to snug up the shoulder pads. The shoulder pads are just strictly there for a comfort feel. If you've worn it, even in my career, first thing I do with an SCBA is I throw it on, I bend over and I crank down the shoulder straps to keep it from moving and swaying around. With ours, you don't have to do that. Actually, you can completely release these shoulder straps where they're completely released out. The SCBA doesn't drop at all. Why? Because it's snug, secure on the waist pad itself. The other thing we do a little bit differently is you can see that these are not real pads. I mean, they're pads, but they're not in the traditional sense of a pad. If you go to a manufacturer for, again, that high-end backpack mentality, right? I got one right here I can show you. So if you look at this pad right here, this is not a straight line. This is actually a curve. You can see the contour. So what it's designed to do is it's designed to come up and over from the center point in the back, up and over the shoulder, down, and then curve out, down, so we don't actually have to have a chest strap. We have one available, but it's not necessary. And very few people actually buy one. Why? Because this is a contoured yoke assembly. It's designed to start here, come up over towards the center, and then kick out. Go look at a high-end backpack. That's exactly what you see for these, again, carrying that load distribution for very high. You'll also see that this is not like a fabric. This is actually called chloroprene. It's a vulcanized type rubber. And we do that for a couple of different reasons. So again, with cancer and some of the other initiatives that we had, the presumptive cause and cancer prevention, we had this product. What it does is it prevents a lot of the contaminants and water from being absorbed into that because it's not a fabric. It's a vulcanized FR type rubber. And that actually increases the wear or reduces the wear on the pads itself, but increases the friction. So when you actually put this SCBA on, it stays, it kind of sticks to you. So as you're moving and working, it's not sliding around. It actually stays affixed to your body. Now with that, we talked about that. So you can see what we do. We don't have open cell foam, so I'll put that right up there. So in that right there, that's a closed cell foam. So we don't get that contaminant and that water absorption into the pads. If you ever talk to a firefighter that's gone out for a big fire and they've gotten all wet and they've sprayed it off and cleaned it, and they take it, they put it back in the apparatus in the seat bracket, they get that call late at night, early in the morning for another call, they're leaning back, the straps are all wet. We don't have that because we don't have the absorption that some of the other pads have traditionally. So we do things a little bit different. Again, focus for us is comfort. The back itself, the back frame itself, it's not metal. It's actually a composite. So as you can see here, it's adjustable. We have large, wide handles on it. So these handles are actually rated handles. So these are 800 foot-pounds of force can be applied to either one of these two handles. So these are designed for grabbing. These are designed for pulling. These are designed to be used. They're wide, so you can actually grab a gloved hand in here. So you can use them, and we encourage you to do that. Another really nice feature about the PSS 7000 is the adjustability. None of us are the same size, Chris. I mean, you're not the same as me, height-wise. We're different. So why should an SCBA be one size fits all? Our opinion is it shouldn't. So what we designed this to do is be able to adjust without any tools. We reach in, grab the two toggles here, pull up. We go from small to medium. Oh, you're a little bit taller than that? We go from medium to large. So now what I've done is I've actually adjusted the SCBA, almost customized it for every user that's out there. You can do this on the fly. You can even do this while somebody's actually wearing the SCBA. So, and it's just a toggle right there. It's very, very user-friendly, and it's very good. And what this does by adjusting it up here and not anywhere else on the unit, this always keeps the weight low center in the back. So that's the most ergonomic place for us to carry weight. It's been proven from ergonomics and chiropractors and everything else, that's the lowest, best place to carry weight is low center mass and this low center of the back. Instead of raising that weight up or down, we raise the shoulders up and down. So we keep that adjustment up here and not down there. A couple of other really kind of unique things about us. As you can see, there's not any hoses or anything else on the outside here. There's no hoses out here. The only hoses that we have are these two little hoses right here. So two little hoses that we have. This is the only high pressure line that's on the system. And it's not even really a full high pressure. This is just a sample line that goes up to tell us how much pressure is there. So a lot of different things on there that we have. All of our pneumatics or the first stage pressure reducer is right there. Everything is right here. So everything that comes off of that is medium pressure with the exception of this one little sample line. This has a 15-year warranty and there's nothing you can ever do to it. There's no serviceable parts in it. There's nothing that the technician or the department can ever do to modify it. It's designed that it works, and if it ever doesn't pass a test, it's replaced for free. So that's a huge advantage for us. And again, that's what we do. So if you don't know what Dräger does, our very, very first patent back in the late 1800s was a pressure reducing valve. So pressure reduction is the cornerstone of what Dräger does. Some other really neat things about Dräger is that on our mask is a unique mask. Now this is just for demo. So our typical mask has a harness on it and everything else. So this is not for use, it's just for demo purposes. But what we do is you can see here is that this has a curve this way and it has a curve this way. It has two curves. And what that actually does is gives us a very clear optically correct vision. And if you notice how I'd wear it, I'm wearing it like this. So it sits really, really close to my face. You get 98% of your peripheral vision with this mask because it comes way over on the side, comes way back over here, front and top. And typically we say if you can see your toes standing without a mask on, when you put our mask on, you can still see your toes. If you need some exercise like me, maybe not, but that's it. It's great lens, great mask, very, very comfortable mask. There's 3 sealing edges for us. So we say the outer edge is sealing, we have an inner seal, and then we have another inner seal. Now, what that allows us to do is that this one mask, this is a medium mask, but this one mask will fit about 85% of the population in the fire service. So it actually reduces the amount of types and sizes of masks that you have because this fits so many different people. Our voice amp, so you can see inside there how big our speech diaphragm is. It is one of the largest speech diaphragms in the industry. So when you talk into it, it's right there, right by your mouth. You're speaking out right out through the exhalation, or above the exhalation valve here. You get really, really clear speech amplification without an electronic amp. A couple of other things is that we do have the cross-contamination, barrier. So you breathe in, it's one-way breathe in. Comes up over the lens, down through the nose cups, and then you breathe out through the exhalation valve. So we never come back in through the actual regulator itself. So it's a one-way, which is becoming a more common practice within the industry. Another nice feature we have on our unit is our heads-up display. So hear a lot of talk about visibility, right? Being able to see what the air levels are. So this is our heads-up display. This is a wireless heads-up display. We have the 4 lights here for the cylinder levels. Have a couple other information lights here for connectivity and battery. But this is a completely automated system. So completely automated, what I mean is that you never touch it. You never turn it on, you never sync it, you never pair it, you never do anything to it. You don't even have to turn it off. It does everything automatically. The nice thing is that when you turn on your unit, it connects with this, it gives you your information. And if I'm wearing this, I can see these lights. The thing I like about it as a firefighter as well is that my buddy can also see my lights from the outside. So I can see my lights, he can see my lights, so I don't have to worry. It's just, for me, it's a comfort thing to know we can see everything else. But we're talking about LEDs in the mask. On the front side of the mask here is a photo cell. That little white dot is actually a photo cell. So that photo cell is there to adjust or to increase or decrease the intensity of the LED lights. So if I'm out on a bright sunny day like it is here in Texas, it's a bright sunny day outside, it's going to increase those light intensity so I can see that free and clear. Now, if I make that transition into a structure that's smoky or dark, that sensor is going to pick that up and actually decrease the intensity of those LEDs so it doesn't become a blinding to me. Again, all automatic. There's nothing I actually have to do to it. So we're really, really pleased with this. We get a lot of really good comfort and customer feedback as far as our mask goes. So a lot of really good comfort for that. On the unit itself, we have a couple of different things. So let's talk about the electronics. So in the electronics here, this is your electronics package. Has a single battery pack here. Now this single battery pack, there's a lot of talk nowadays about batteries. Here's our approach. We think that batteries should be changed by the technicians once a year. We don't think firefighters should be battery changers. So this one battery pack that goes in right here is 5 AA batteries. They're nothing fancy. They're the Duracell by ProCell by Duracell. We have a couple of others that have been approved. So when we put this in here, if a department uses this SCBA for an hour every day for 365 days, they won't touch this battery pack. The technician will touch this battery pack whenever he does an annual flow test. So we say 365 hours of usage out of 5 AA batteries, and that's pretty consistent. Now, if we get a real heavy use department that are using it multiple hours every day, they may have to change this out every 10 months or so, or even more frequent than that. But as a standard unit, hour a day, 365 days a year, the technician will change this out annually. So we don't think that, again, firefighters should be battery changers, and that's why we've kind of set this system up to do what it does. Another nice thing about batteries is that we do have one thing that I like, is that if you know batteries, typically something happens eventually with a battery, but we do have a backup. So right down here, we have an emergency backup battery. So worst case scenario, something happens to your battery pack, somebody forgets to change it, whatever, and something happens to that. We do have an emergency backup battery right here that still powers your heads-up display. So there's literally no way you cannot know how much air that you have. As far as lights, our gauge. So this is our gauge. Our gauge has a lot of information that'll be on it. Of course, I don't have it on right now, but we have an analog representation that would be on the gauge. We'd have the PSI up here and numerical value for pressure. And then down here is another number. This other number right here would be actually the number of minutes you have left of work before your low air alarm goes off. So if you look here, we'd say like 3,800 PSI, you get a bar graph that would represent that. And then you get a numerical value here, let's say 20 minutes left before your low air alarm goes off. That gets recalculated every 30 seconds based off your respiratory rate and the cylinder pressure. So if you're working really, really hard, that number is going to dip. You finish your assignment, come back and catch your breath, that number's going to dip back up again. But this gives you a number of minutes calculation before your low air alarm goes off. Low air alarm goes off, we have a couple things. We have status indicators here with different colored LEDs. Green is good, status normal. Red, blue would be an alarm. We have a sound chamber up front. So sound chamber up front. We also have sound chambers on back. So on the back, we have a sound chamber on this side. This sound chamber goes up and down. On the other side, this sound chamber goes front to back. So it's literally 360 degrees of sound. We have red LEDs on the top that are alarm activated. We have blue LEDs on the bottom that are alarm activated. So we have these on here because we say red is head. They're orientation lights. Red is head, blue is shoe. So if you go in, you hear the alarm, you see red or blue, you know how the down firefighter is oriented. Normal operating mode, these blue lights here flash intermittently. So those are kind of like my buddy lights. So there's a lot of technology that goes into this and a lot of things and reasons why we do what we do. So it's a lot of fun to have it and be able to take it out and let people experience it for the first time. One other feature that we have on here that's really more for our special operations folks is in this sound chamber area right here, I actually have a key that I can insert into here that disables the pass device. So we have folks that will use this for special operations for hazmat because I'm not required to have a pass device for hazmat or some other non-structural firefighting items or activities. So I can do that. It's really intended for service technicians to be able to put that in to disable the motion sensor. So it's a really neat system to have. So we talked about comms. We talked about the PSS 7000, and this is the FPS mask. Now, if I wanted to add comms to this, this is actually the standard mask. If I wanted to do COM 5000, so COM 5000 here, this is a voice amp, and I can add a radio interface to it, so I can do hardwired or Bluetooth. So that's COM 5000, voice amp on both sides, so left and right, speech diaphragm in the middle. If I really wanted to go the next step up is the COM 7000. That's what's on this one right here. COM 7000 does all the same things that COM 5000 does, voice amp on both sides, radio connectivity, hardwired and Bluetooth, but COM 7000 actually has Team Talk. This is in-mass communications, mask-to-mask, firefighter to firefighter, hands-free, full box. So I can give you, we can talk back and forth. Again, for special operations, hazmat, phenomenal. Going down range, I can talk to you, you can talk to me. We don't have to find a push to talk or yell at each other. We just talk normally. So a lot of really cool technology, a lot of good things, a lot more stuff coming down the road. We got bailout belts and safety belts, ladder positioning belts that are coming. We got harness replacement kits with mesh bags, the harness assembly. Instructions for this is 10 easy steps. It only takes 10 steps to take off the entire harness. Fastest I've done it is about 32 seconds is the fastest I've done it. We got competitions internally now to see who can do it the fastest. I got one guy who wants to do it blindfolded. So, but lots of stuff. I mean, there's just a ton. It's a great time to be at Dräger right now.
Great, perfect. Well, thank you again for working with our scheduling here. That was very helpful. We do have a number of questions that have come in. One relates to sort of what you were just talking about now. How do you clean the SCBA? How long does it take, and what tools do you need?
Cleaning, again, we have recommended cleaning processes and procedures, but follow your department's SOGs or SOPs. We have a couple of approved cleaning solutions. Again, we say clean manually with the approved cleaning solutions. Get off the big stuff with, you know, maybe a red line or hose line, not anything high pressure. Use our cleaning stuff, do a rinsing. We have very detailed guidelines on how to do manual cleaning. What's exciting for us in coming is that, because Dräger is a global company, we have mechanical cleaning machines that are soon to come to North America. So we'll now have the mechanical solution and the automatic cleaning solution coming forward as well. So that'll be something that we're really looking forward for 2021.
Okay, what range? What is the range on the Team Talk?
Team Talk, inside of a building, you're looking at about 90 feet inside of a traditional structure. Outside line of sight, think football field, 300 feet. So, and it varies a little bit, but that's typically our published ranges.
Okay, we have a couple of questions here about the batteries. Well, actually, a few about batteries, but I wanted to hit on these two first. They're about temperature and
Sure.
temperature's effects. Does the temperature affect battery life? For example, extreme cold, and will the oh, it's actually the same one. I apologize. Does the temperature, so in extreme cold, will that battery pack affect, will the extreme cold affect the battery pack and in turn battery life?
Well, we know that batteries are susceptible to extreme heat and extreme cold. So we're testing our batteries down to about -40 Fahrenheit. So they work really well in extreme cold. Any more extreme, I don't know what your definition of extreme is, but there could be some. So we still stay with that an hour a day, 365 a year for our replacement schedule.
Okay. Couple of questions here about the electronics. And really this, and it's also in tandem with another question about batteries. So I guess, could you expand on the electronics in the mask? Does the mask require its own batteries? And could you just go over again the battery pack and the type of batteries that it uses, and just go through that one more
Sure.
time?
Yeah, no. So in the SCBA itself has two batteries or battery packs. So there's the one battery pack here, that's the 5 AA's. So there's a Duracell and an Energizer that's approved for this, commonly available in the market. Again, just 5 of those. So 5 of those is 1 year's usage for most departments. There's also a CR123 emergency backup battery. The other battery that we have in the mask for the HUD is a CR123. Again, that's a minimum a year. So the end user, the fireman at the station, never touches it. Beyond that, the only other batteries we have are in the comms. So in the COM 5000, it's 2 AAA batteries. This is really easy. There's no technical training that needs to be done on this, but the traditional COM 5000, 32 hours of runtime or operational time on 2 AAA batteries. And then Team Talk is 2 AA batteries, and those are changeable by the end user there, and those are typically 8 hours of runtime, but you got a lot of different things. You're powering another radio built in this for the Team Talk application.
All right, great. And I have one more that I'd like to wrap up with. It's kind of based on something you and I were talking about before, we all meet before, the demo begins. And we were talking about maintenance, and it was actually connected to a battery question that I had for you. But could you just talk real quick before we wrap up, talk about the design of the SCBA so that maintenance at the fire station by firefighters is minimal?
Yeah. So again, I'll just use this one as an example. There's nothing that really the firefighter has to do for this. If they want to be able to clean it and take it up, really get a deep clean, this is so easy to be able to do. I can actually, watch this, take that. I can remove that. There's no tools that need to be done to remove the harness assemblies. So they can replace their own harness assemblies in the field. I can replace this component here in the field at the station should it get damaged, because all it is pins that hold this in. We really try to make this user-friendly for the firefighter at the station. We don't want them to be technicians unless they want to be, but they should be able to go to the station, go in the apparatus, make that call, put on the unit, and not have to worry about repairing and fixing things.
All right, Paul, perfect. Well, again, my thanks to you and for Dräger for joining us for this segment today. We do have a 4 o'clock webinar coming up called Developing an Effective Respiratory Protection Program. That's with Chief Hugh Stott. As I've said yesterday and today, and really honestly, this conversation we've been able to have with you, the customers and the readers and the attendees, has been great. Keep it coming. Make sure that if you have anything that didn't get answered, that maybe you were a little shy about asking, the opportunity is now for you to go into the exhibit showroom for Dräger, make an appointment for one of those one-on-one meetings so you can get all your questions answered, technical questions, pricing answers, all of that. So the one-on-one meetings. Again, as I've said before, there's plenty to do on the exhibit show floor. We are continuing this event all through 2021. Our next theme is going to be in January. It's going to be the week of the 12th, and it's going to be the personal protective ensemble. So during that week, we'll be going through a number of different products for you and us as we protect ourselves during a fire. A lot of that information is in the system now, so go take a look at it. Prepare yourself for when you're going to come back. Anyone who was registered for these events, these live demos this week, you're going to get a reminder come January. January is going to be here before we know it. We got the holidays coming, and once that happens, it gets into lightning speed, and before you know it, it'll be January 12th. So make sure you put it on your calendar now, and keep returning to FDICproductnetwork.com to keep track of what is upcoming. There is a list of every theme for the month next year. So make sure you come back, take a look at that. Again, my thanks to Paul today for joining us and taking us through Dräger's SCBA. Again, I'm Chris McClune. We were brought to you today by Dräger, by FDIC International, and by Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. So with that, I will say please hang around, explore, attend the webinar, stay safe, and have a good one.